We begin our look at sports on the baseball diamond, where the Bronx Bombers and the amazing Mets are set to clash this weekend in the latest round of the Subway Series. The Pinstripers are 40-18, sitting atop the American League East. The Mets, meanwhile, are 7.5 games back in the National League East and have scored 7 runs in their past 6 games. All losses. On Wednesday, they even made the lowly Baltimore Orioles look good in a 1-0 defeat while the Yanks were wrapping up their stay in Canada. Aaron Judge hit a 2-run homer to snap a scoreless tie in the 13th inning. Giancarlo Stanton went deep moments later, and the Yankees beat the Toronto Blue Jays 3-0 for a 2-game sweep. Regardless, the Subway Series seems to always bring out the best in both teams, especially the Mets, who likely will treat this series like it's their World Series. Their offense could use a boost, to say the least, and that could come courtesy of Yoenis Cespedes. He's trying to make his way back from injury just in time for the Subway Series. Tonight's pitching probables have Masahiro Tanaka towing the rubber against Jacob deGrom. The weekend will also feature Yankee ace Luis Severino and Mets ace Noah Syndergaard on Sunday Night Baseball. The Bombers sure would love to snatch up one of those two Met hurlers in a trade. The Yanks' only glaring weakness might be depth and another ace in their rotation. The worst news for young Yankee pitcher Jordan Montgomery: Tommy John surgery. The Yankees announced that Montgomery underwent the scheduled surgery on his left elbow Thursday, fixing a UCL tear that had been found in Montgomery's recent MRI. A loose bone chip also was removed from Montgomery's elbow, according to the team. Both the Mets and Yanks got a chance this week to plan for the future. Monday night was the MLB draft. We got a chance to catch up with some of the legends in the room representing the clubs at MLB Network Studio 42, as well as interview the Yanks' ambidextrous first-round pick. Here's more. College Baseball Hall of Famer, Red Sox Hall of Famer, and again, meant a lot to this organization. For a young player, what does a night like this signify?
Hopefully it's the start of a long career. You know, and a lot of guys get drafted. Not everybody makes it to the big leagues. So everybody's dream is to get to the highest level, of course, and then to hopefully have a very successful and long career. And that's what we're hoping for these kids today. You know, we see these names today. These guys might be, you know, the next stars of the future. So it's kind of exciting for everybody.
Is there something for you with the eye that you look for when it comes to a player?
No question. You know, there's a lot of good things about sabermetrics, and there's also things that I just disregard. But there's 2 things that you can't measure: what's up here and what's here. And I think the eye test tells you a lot about that. By talking to the individual, watching him go through his pregame preparations, watching him play when he's 0 for 8, see how he gets along with his teammates. All those things that you don't measure with sabermetrics, and the eye test comes into play a lot.
Now, one of the questions I've been asking a lot of the legends is just, does a night like this bring you back to when you were coming up in your amateur career and getting a chance to play in the majors?
Well, you know, when I came up, they didn't have the draft. I signed in 1964 before they had it, so going through a draft is something that I never went through. But I'm sure these kids that are here tonight are certainly excited about it, and I'm looking forward to it.
But how important do you think, as someone that's been both a player and a coach in the major leagues, for the teams to try and get it right, knowing what kind of crapshoot it really is, the MLB draft?
Well, you said it right. It is a crapshoot. It really is. You know, I think that most teams, you know, you draft by needs, or, you know, you go for the best athlete that's out there if you don't have any particular need. You know, but I know, you know, our minor league system has been struggling a little bit, so we basically need everybody. So we have a lot of big pool to choose from, so hopefully we can get it right this time, and I feel confident that we picking 6, so we should be okay.
So, Nick, are the Yankees going to find another Gleyber Torres in this year's draft?
That's the plan, bro. Another Gleyber Torres, another Aaron Judge, bro.
Sounds pretty good.
That's what we're looking for. Judging baseball talent is the hardest thing because it's a 162-game season. I feel like if you look at football players or basketball players, you can physically look at somebody and they already have an advantage. In baseball, it's hard, man, because you don't necessarily look at the outside of the body. You really have to look on the inside as well, see what kind of makeup they have. But I think for us, our philosophy is pretty simple. Take the best available player at that point in the draft, and then we go on from there. We have such amazing coaches in the minor leagues, throughout the organization, everywhere from rookie ball all the way up to the big leagues. We have the mentors we need, man. We just need to get the right people in place to make it happen. We need to get those players going.
Did you know that the Philadelphia Phillies were interested?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to them a couple times and met them down at when our conference tournament was in Clearwater, so I met them there. And, you know, but really, you know, you never know until you hear your name called, so that's when I really knew.
It's everybody's dream to be a first-round pick, so, I mean, I still had that in my mind. I want to be a first-round draft pick, so, I mean, that kind of helped me and motivated me. I mean, it's a huge honor. Like I said up there, I'm really blessed to be here, and I'm really thankful to be able to put on this jersey and carry on a legacy that they've brought.
For more coverage of the MLB Draft, log on to MLB.com. The Stanley Cup Finals in the books, and instead of a script centered around the Cinderella Vegas Golden Knights, it's Alex Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals that get the movie-like ending. Ovechkin is no longer Dan Marino or Ted Williams, the star player whose statistical achievements will never again be counterbalanced by a lack of a championship. Ovi is your Conn Smythe Trophy winner as playoff MVP. The Caps, who lost Game 1 in the series, rallied to win 4 straight, taking Game 5 4-3 Thursday night to win their first ever Stanley Cup. Time for some quick hitters from around the world of sports. Brian Colangelo is out as the GM of the Philadelphia 76ers, after his wife admitted to operating Twitter accounts that criticized the team and revealed sensitive information. The GM resigned this week amid the scandal. Terrell Owens, who was selected for enshrinement into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this year, has declined an invitation to attend the induction ceremony. He said Thursday, "That is unprecedented." Owens said, open quote, "After visiting Canton earlier this year, I came to the realization that I wish to celebrate what will be one of the most memorable days of my life elsewhere," close quote. Do you expect anything less from T.O.? In tennis, the French Open rolls on. The men's semifinals is wrapping up today with number 1 Rafael Nadal taking on number 5 Juan Martín del Potro. That rivalry matchup should be a goodie. American Sloane Stephens has already advanced on the women's side and headlines the championship as she will square off against number 1 Simona Halep. On the WNBA hardwood, the New York Liberty ran into Shakina Strickland Thursday night at the Westchester County Center. Strickland had a 4-point play at the buzzer to give the Connecticut Sun an 88-86 victory over the Liberty. The Liberty are back in action Sunday to take on the Indiana Fever at home. In IndyCar, Scott Dixon won the first race in Detroit last weekend, while Ryan Hunter-Reay won the second. This weekend, the series will be in Texas. Last week on the show, we told you to take a look out for the Indy 500 Sports NYC special. This week, we'll give you a special sneak peek with our Indy 500 recap. Take a look.
I've won so many races and poles and, you know, led more laps than anyone. I just hadn't done it here. So I've been thinking, like, am I going to finish my career without a 500 win? And this month is one of the best months I've had. Very, very like relaxed and, you know, in tune with my engineer, just working really well.
The one thing he always talked about was, I've got to win the Indy 500. I've got to win the Indy 500 to get where you need to be. Will was agonizing during dinner, you know, as far as what his setup, what his gears were going to be and that type of thing. His mind never leaves this sport. So he's fully committed. You know, he's made a lot of sacrifices, and to see the culmination, and I think you saw how excited he was today. You don't see that out of Will too often.
He won this race today because he was the best. There's no question about the speeds at the end, his outlaps, the pit crew. I take my hat off to John Buslong and certainly to Tim Cindric, because we had 4 great cars, and that's what you got to have here. You got to have 4 bullets, 3 bullets, whatever it takes, and I'm just so thrilled. 17 wins. I guess now I got to worry about 18.
He was good all day, and when he got clear, he could run fast laps, which was big for us. You know, the thing was is he was so focused on the win and doing well that it was his day, you know, and he was going to make sure it was.
You have to have that in you, and that's just the human spirit. So you got to have that determination. That's what I had, and when you work hard at something, it comes for you. It eventually comes for you.
Still buzzing from the trip to Indy. Formula One will be in Canada this weekend. NASCAR is in Michigan. on Sunday. UFC 225 goes down Saturday night in Chicago. Robert Whittaker and Yoel Romero headline the main event. Also excited to see Holly Holm and Megan Anderson, who are also on the main card as they face each other in the women's featherweight matchup. Game 4 of the NBA Finals, is tonight. The Golden State Warriors hold a 3-0 series lead and look well on their way to a final sweep of LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Kevin Durant had a huge game in Game 3 for the Dubs. The All-Star forward told ESPN on Thursday that he will re-sign with Golden State this summer. Durant is finishing the first year of a discounted 2-year, $51 million deal with the Warriors that included an opt-out clause for the 18-19 season. President Donald Trump told reporters this morning that we're not going to invite either team, referring to Golden State and Cleveland, for a visit to the White House. On Tuesday, LeBron James said neither his Cavaliers nor the Warriors would accept a visit as a winner of the NBA Finals. The Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles already had their visit to the White House canceled by Trump after many players declined to attend. And on a final sports roundup note, Justify will look to complete the Triple Crown Saturday at the Belmont Stakes in the 150th running. Justify is the favorite, of course. Those are the headlines. We hit the C-list, where I will explain to you how the Golden State Warriors are turning LeBron James into the Wilt Chamberlain of his era, and how LBJ is no MJ when it comes to the GOAT debate. The Finals MVP award is named after Bill Russell. He led the Boston Celtics to 11 titles in 13 seasons. Oftentimes, Russell is in the conversation for the greatest player of all time debate, although his numbers pale in comparison to Wilt the Still Chamberlain, a player who dominated so much that he once scored 100 points in a game. Over the New York Knicks, no less. Still a record. I digress. Clearly, championships speak volumes about players. From 1959 to 69, Russell and Chamberlain played against each other in 94 regular season games. Neither was a particularly great free throw shooter. Chamberlain had the edge in rebounding over Russell, who is widely considered the greatest defensive big man to ever live. And Chamberlain more than doubled Russell in points per game, 29.9 to 14.2. Chamberlain's teams, however, they only won 37 of the 94 matchups, with the win-loss ratio slightly tighter in the playoffs. Chamberlain again held the advantage in points, rebounds, and field goal percentage, but it was again Russell who walked away victorious in 29 of those 49 postseason matchups. A final tally: Russell's Celtics defeated Chamberlain's Warriors, 76ers, and Lakers in 86 of 143 matchups at 60%. Chamberlain and Russell played each other in 8 different playoff series. Russell won 7 of those 8 series. With that said, Chamberlain, for all of his statistical genius, is never held in as high a regard as Russell, and he was the physical, dominant marvel that LeBron today is back then. LeBron is going to lose another NBA final. They're not going to win 4 straight, sorry to break the news. And the Warriors have essentially turned LeBron into Wilt in the NBA Finals. People will always use Michael Jordan's 6-0 mark in the NBA Finals as the primary basis for his place as the GOAT, the greatest of all time. And I strongly believe it's a big part of the debate. When you look at the numbers, 10-time scoring champ, former NBA Defensive Player of the Year, and a guy that was an All-NBA first-team defender for the entire decade of the 90s, coupled with leading the league 3 times in steals during that stretch. You have a player that not only was the best offensive player of his stay in the association, but the best defender, too, and he went 6-0 in the finals. Listen, there are several GOATs in NBA history. Jordan, James, Russell, and Wilt are among those names. But from a modern-day perspective, I'm taking Jordan before I'm taking LeBron, just the same way I likely would have taken Russell over Wilt back in the day. LeBron has 3 championships, but don't expect him to catch Jordan or Russell in the rings department, and don't expect him to catch either of them in the great GOAT debate either. That's your sports. I'm Bobby C.